have yet to meet a human who doesn't have some issues, either neurological or
everyone
has a story.
Everyone's got shit on their shoe.
Right. Everyone. That's the one thing that I loved about being a divorce lawyer and just listening to people. Like, gosh, it's astounding how it's really easy for me to be open, because I just know that everyone's got problems. Like there's no one who doesn't have problems. If you and your family don't have problems, maybe your brother does, your sister, your first cousin, maybe you grew up with a very highly contentious environment.
Sure. So, what about scenarios that you see that if you have one of the parties, if there's not physical abuse, but like the emotional narcissistic behavior, like that's got to make things much more difficult, because it's different. It's very ingrained in the brain and not apparent on the outside.
Yeah. So narcissism is a word, a term that is, in my opinion, vastly overused. It's a buzzword. There's, the covert narcissist. There's all the different kinds of narcissists. And so the first thing is to be aware if you are getting divorced from someone who you're calling a narcissist, and it does make sense because it's sort of like a bucket way to say what your experience is.
Sure.
The person may just be very selfish, right? Right. And that's different than a narcissist, because the person might be extraordinarily selfish. So they're really always looking out for themselves, but they don't necessarily want to hurt you. And let's just say, to mediate with either a very selfish person or a malignant narcissist or a covert narcissist or what have you, it's really important that you are very clear on what your boundaries are around the terms of resolution. If you are truly dealing with a malignant narcissist, so they don't care about anybody liking them, right? You may have to litigate. Mm-hmm. There's a reason there's court. Mm-hmm. But if you are negotiating with the kind of person, and I'm not going to label them, I'm not a psychologist, I do not know, the particular label. But if you're dealing with a very difficult person who you feel like might be a narcissist, but at the end of the day wants to be liked by other people, wants to seem like the good guy, because there's a whole world of people like that, you may be able to mediate. Just make sure that you have a skilled person helping you to put the best positions forward. I do actually a fair bit of strategic divorce coaching for people who are dealing with narcissists or selfish or difficult or impossible exes, just so that you make sure that you are positioning things correctly from the start. Because the way you go through your mediation is really important. Some people come to mediation with their lawyers, and that's absolutely fine. That is still going to save you heartache and money most of the time. But if you're going to go to mediation with a lawyer, make sure that you hire a lawyer who is truly mediation friendly and isn't just racking up the hours before they file.
Yeah, that is such a good point too, because let's face it, divorce is expensive. It's expensive on all sides.
That's right. And there's no getting around it. Like, don't think if you go to mediation and you say, oh, well, I'm not going to have a lawyer. Well, that's fine. And you might save $10,000 or $20,000 between the two of you, depending on where you live and how much you have. But the fact of the matter is, if you enter a bad agreement, it's going to cost you a heck of a lot more potentially.